It's time to really look into the apocalypse and just what it means for the flaw in YouTube's system when it comes to advertising and how it actually neglects to fully address the issue at hand. Here at Cynical Apex Commentaries, this is technically part 2 of my Flaw in YouTube system series that I'm doing. So now let's get into the discussion, shall we? First of all, before I begin, I should explain to you that I do believe that advertisers have every right to associate or disassociate with any product that they wish, and that this is not meant to be an attack on them, rather merely an explanation on how this ties into YouTube and the flaw within its system, and how that you can't exactly relate it or compare it to television advertising practices, as they are actually different in context and in how they are managed. Also, this is not meant to be an attack on the creators either, because I do believe they have every right to make a profit and use this as a primary source of income. Even if I personally, on a subjective level, do not agree with this platform being a primary income source, I will say that if people want to do that, feel free to. It's up to you. And yes, YouTube is a job by the very definition of the term. And there is a lot of effort and actual work required in order to function and make a successful channel. Nor is that what I'm trying to get to here. As I said, it is merely a discussion on the flaw within the system itself, rather than anything to do with a single content creator or personality on this website, and how YouTube is neglecting the issue at hand. Rather, they are kowtowing and merely allowing the advertisers to walk away without looking at why they are, or how exactly they can bring them back and actually give them greater freedoms of choice when it comes to what their ads are being run on, if that makes any sense to people here. First of all, the adpocalypse that we are currently in is actually the second time that such an action has happened on YouTube, where advertisers have boycotted or rather pulled their ads from the platform due to controversial topics of discussion on videos and all over YouTube controversy that has even reached like the mainstream digital media, or rather those that comment and inform people on social media topics. Sites like The Verge, Polygon, whatever. Now, the first one, as you can see now on the screen, happened in March to May 2017 and started on a video that was, well, racist to say the least, as well as other extremist content like ISIS related videos getting monetization and ads placed on them, which led certain advertisers like Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, Johnson & Johnson, and the United Kingdom government to come out and say, oh, we don't want to associate with this platform, so we are actually going to pull our ads. And yes, that does hurt smaller YouTubers and YouTubers in general due to the flow-on effect, but rather that also actually shows the issue that I am going to discuss. And that is that YouTube has sort of a random method of electing which ads are run on what content, as opposed to what you'll see on television where the advertisers 100% know what they are paying for when it goes to advertising on certain content. And rather, they are actually paying a premium to go on prime time or on certain television shows. Like, you know, with South Park, yes, it's controversial and yes, it has ads run on it, but the advertisers know that they are advertising on South Park, or during South Park rather, and that their demographic is what they are going to try to target. That is the issue here, is that the advertisers have felt that the content that they were having their ads placed on was not suiting their target demographic. And that's their right. In fact, that is a smart business practice to disassociate from what you are not trying to target. Rather, let's just say, would you want to see a Disney advertisement on content that is more for mature audiences? No, sure, they might have kids and it might open their eyes to take their kids to Disney, but as an overarching concept, that is not what you want as an advertiser, nor as a consumer. You would rather have advertisements that actually relate to what you are looking for or what content you want to support. So let's just say if it was like on a kids channel or a family friendly channel, then yes, you would expect to see Disney, Transformers, Hot Wheels style advertisement because that is the target demographic. It's just that simple. Which, to me, brings up the prospect of actually having what I'll call personal sponsorships or paid advertisements during the video itself. That to me actually replicates television more so than the current YouTube's system. As in that case, or those instances, the advertisers will know what they are supporting and will actually legitimately be supporting the product rather than just doing it because YouTube feel like, hey, these guys have monetization on and we wish to peddle this particular product. So let's just shoehorn it there and see how that works. Which is also why I'm actually a big fan of paid sponsorships. Now, it's not something that I, again, personally would do because, as I've said before, this to me is more of a hobby rather than an actual, full-time job. Now, if you guys don't know, I do have a full-time job per se, but again, that's not relevant here to this discussion and is for another time. On the topic, though, and in that case, you are actually replicating how television works, because if people want to go to your content, they will approach you personally and say, hey, do you mind sponsoring this for us to your viewers? We'll give you X amount of money. Usually it's in the 2 to 5k range, as it is for television and radio advertising, but also for you it benefits because not only are you getting the money, but for the company, they are pushing their product towards a demographic that they are targeting at the time, whether or not that be children, teenagers, young adults, or adults in general. And also on top of that, it is a win-win situation, as it means that you have interests, you actually have a way to make money even when something like this apocalypse happens, instead of relying on the system that YouTube has in place, which is, as I said, flawed due to the whole die roll or random nature of it, rather than it actually being tailor-made for the content that is being presented on the website. And that is something that YouTube, despite the apocalypse, despite advertisers pulling out and saying, hey, we don't want to associate with this platform under the current system, that they refuse to address. Yes, they do address problems, and I get that you can't address every single issue at once, but this to you, especially when you are a business at the end of the day and you have content creators that are relying on you somewhat to actually give them a stable flow of income and to continue sustaining them for the work and effort that they are giving you, you would think that it is something that you should look at and a system that you should look to change, rather than just being like, oh, you should be more family friendly. Because hey, yes, being family friendly and politically correct, as some would put it, is all fine and well. That's what people want in this sort of fake outrage culture climate that we live in today. It's just how it is. However, that doesn't mean that you should be forcing them to kowtow to your particular terms. Yes, you could say you're a private business, and as such, you have your terms of service in place, but if they are obliging to those terms and just making content that is edgy, then you should be giving them some leeway, and rather you should be actually looking to see if advertisers want to advertise on that comment, on that sort of content, sort of like satirical content or commentary content, almost like soap operas or like petty middle school level drama. Again, irrelevant, but it's just an example and a reference for this. Or if they want to go on the family vlog channels, they should have an avenue to, without having to wonder whether or not their ads are actually going towards the target demographic, or if they're going to where YouTube are delegating them to. That's how business works. You talk with the investors, and you talk with, which in this case is the advertisers, because they are investing into your product, investing into the content creators, and allowing them to dictate which content their advertisements go on to. As for content creators, as I said, personal sponsorships is key. If you have companies that are willing to approach you and support your content, or if you are willing to use other mediums like Patreon to support yourself and to make sure that you actually have a stable cash flow when YouTube isn't necessarily giving it to you, or if you don't have enough of a fan base and are trying to rise yourself up to a point where you can sustain yourself and actually get a proper return onto the work and the investment that you are putting into YouTube, then you should pursue those at all costs, until YouTube actually realize that they should be trying to make it easier for advertisers to place their ads on content that they wish, rather than just saying, hey, we've got monetization, hey, we can support you having a job, when it's actually not really supporting you, because the content that you are providing doesn't fit what the advertisers had in store for theirs, unless you have personal sponsorships in this instance. Either way, as you guys can see, it is something that YouTube does need to address, and it's something that I think Adpocalypse like this, even if I don't agree with the Adpocalypse actually being the solution to what the initial issue was in this case, which we have spoken about on this channel before, and the whole YouTube wake-up movement that you have seen going around the internet most recently. It is something that does need to be looked at, and has actually I hope at least has opened not just YouTube's eyes, but also creators' eyes to discuss, and advertisers' eyes to actually discuss this in a medium that is beneficial to all parties involved. Sort of that triangle between the creators, YouTube itself, and advertisers. Anyway, I am going to let you guys go. A more regular commentary video for this channel will be coming either today or tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure when I'll have time to record it yet. But either way, I am going to just say, if you want, like, comment, and subscribe on this if you like the content. And I'll be back to discuss more with you soon.